My name is Steve Crisman, and I'm from Winter Haven, Florida. I am a kidney transplant patient. I found out about kidney disease when I got a phone call that my dad had passed away. It was 1999, and did not know my dad well. So when my sister and I flew to Ohio to gather his belongings and lay him to rest, the coroner said that he died of end-stage renal failure. And I kind of packed that information away. I was a young dad, had one boy and a new wife, and just kind of I knew that was kidney disease and didn't think much about it. And then fast forward about 5 years, and Paige and I had finished having our family. I had 3 young boys, and had a doctor's appointment and found out I had really high blood pressure. And so going through the family history, I mentioned that my dad had this thing called PKD. I didn't really know what it was, but it was polycystic kidney disease. And my doctor said, well, that's pretty serious. We should get that looked at. The test confirmed that I did have polycystic kidney disease. And so that began our family's journey of living with chronic kidney disease. I began to do a lot of research, and that's one thing I would say to people that are beginning this journey of living with chronic kidney disease is arm yourselves with information. Did a lot of research on the internet about the disease, about how kidneys function, about how changes in diet and exercise and things can really stretch the life of the kidneys so that you can live well with chronic kidney disease. But through that process, I realized that the only outcomes were really transplant or dialysis. And so I wanted to find a team of doctors that had a lot of experience with transplants, and I'm very fortunate that just an hour west of here is Tampa, and Tampa General does a lot of kidney transplants, and they have great doctors, and that's where I met Dr. Balaga. In January of 2014, Dr. Balaga said, it's time to get you on the donor list. We began that search, and I remember getting a call from the coordinator that handles the donors, and she said, Mr. Crisman, we have a slight problem. She said that you've had a lot of people come to be tested, and we've run out of test kits, and so we're gonna have to wait and get some more. And she said, you must be a very special guy. And I'm sitting on the phone listening to this, and I just, with a lump in my throat, I choked back some tears, and I said, ma'am, it's not necessarily how special I am, it's about how special the friends and family I have are. It does take someone who's special to want to be tested and consider giving life. So my pool of potential donors came from my family and my friends and my church family. There was a girl named Chelsea that was in my wife Paige's Sunday school class, and when she became 12 or 13, she began to babysit for our boys. And from about that age till 18, she just became part of our family, and she spent a lot of time at our house. She spent as much time at our house as she did at her own home until she left for college. And during that time, I found out about the disease, and Chelsea would always say, Mr. Steve, I'm gonna be the one that gives you my kidney. And that always gave me I was just always amazed that this teenage girl would be willing to do that. So again, roll forward to when it's time for me to go and get on the list, and she'd gotten married by now. She and her husband were living in Nevada at the time, I think, and they came home to visit, and they were sitting at our kitchen table to talk about the results of the test. And Chelsea said, I'm a match. And but what was interesting that I didn't expect was her husband Brad said, and I'm a match too. And he said, and I'm actually a better match than Chelsea just because of my size and my kidney size. And Brad, a 26-year-old guy that had married a girl that was kind of like a daughter to me that I'd only met a few times, said, I'm going to give you my kidney. And so May 21st of 2014, he made the decision to go underneath the knife and let them take out his kidney and give it to me. And he would say it's a pretty easy process. The testing and all that the donor has to do is not real invasive. They just do some normal tests with blood and stress tests and things like that. The surgery is pretty easy. They lead a completely normal, active lifestyle. He's a hiker. He's just doing great. It's kind of funny, after the transplant surgery, they give you a kidney-shaped pillow at the hospital, and I had Brad sign it, and I was kind of joking with my donor Brad, and I started calling my kidney Bradney. I had named him Bradney, and so I always refer to when I text Brad, I say, "Hey, hope you're doing well," and I say, "I'm taking good care of Bradney." And so every year when that anniversary rolls around of the transplant, I usually reach out to Brad through a text or put a picture of him on my Facebook page and honor him and thank him for what he did. And our family just kind of celebrates the fact that I'm here to live another year because of the kidney that was given to me. Because I really believe, it's going to be 5 years next May that I don't know if I'd be here. It was a 10 or 12-year journey of learning about the disease. I would say this: there's probably three main things that if you want to know how to walk through this journey with chronic kidney disease and live well doing it, get educated. Spend the time to learn about the disease. And I'll be honest with you, I was a pretty new father. I had 3 boys, ages 6, 4, and about 1.5, and a young wife. And you read, journals about end-stage renal failure and kidney disease and all the bad things that can happen, and it can be frightening. So while you do get educated, I really would encourage you to talk to your healthcare professional. Dr. Balaga did a great job of balancing, all of this, what could happen with what's likely to happen. And he said, and if you do these things, you can have much better outcomes than what you read about in the medical journals and things. And so it really gave me a lot of comfort knowing that I had Dr. Balaga kind of walking me through this. I was so glad that I made the choice to drive an hour to Tampa. Top-notch doctors there, and Dr. Balaga and Dr. Sanders, and I had a transplant coordinator named Jennifer, and I had a research coordinator named Debbie. All the technicians, all the nurses at the group are just great. They care about you. They want to make sure that they take the time to answer your questions, because you're going to have lots of questions, and you're going to see them pretty regularly. Leading up to the transplant, there's lots of tests, there's questionnaires, there's classes that you'll go to learn about how to live right after the transplant. I wouldn't say it's easy, but it's not anything to be afraid of. You have the surgery, and then those 4 or 5 days after, you're just learning how to walk again a little bit with the sutures and getting past the healing part. I just look back on that experience, and it just was not something that anyone should be afraid of. The things that you might learn, you might be afraid about. Well, gosh, what happens if the transplanted organ doesn't take and it rejects and all those things. But again, just to encourage people, the science and the medicine have come so far that the medicine plan they can put you on to help you keep your donated organ is personalized. My quality of life is so much better with this transplanted kidney. I can't overstate how important it is to have a good medical team and a support team with you. And I just feel like the doctors at what is now Florida Kidney Physicians just did a marvelous job. When you live with chronic kidney disease, it's like every month, every day that goes by, everything changes a little bit. And I lead a very active lifestyle. At the time, I was a CPA, I was a tax accountant, worked tremendous hours during tax season, doing people's taxes. And that from January to May, I worked 60, 70 hours a week. I was at what they call stage 4 renal failure, so my kidney function was about 11, 12%. So what you live with is you live with fatigue and muscle aches and a little bit of fogginess, I would say, what the doctors, you just kind of feel foggy. And that is true. You can, if you take care of yourself, you drink lots of water and take the medicines that doctors tell you to take, and take them on time, take them regularly. If you do those things and watch your diet, only eat what they tell you you can eat. If you do those things, then you can live well with the disease. But I can tell you this: after the surgery and probably that year after, it was totally different. It was like the fog had been lifted. I had energy. I could exercise again, and I lead a tremendously active lifestyle. And I'm telling you, the transplant not only save my life, but it gave me a life to live that I am happy to have. And I just try to send the message out that more people need to consider being donors. One of the things about diseases like polycystic kidney disease is that they're hereditary. And I've got 3 boys. One is now almost 20 and one is 17, and both of them have been diagnosed with the same condition I have. So they're going to be out there looking for donors one day. So I would just encourage people to thoughtfully and prayerfully consider giving life to someone else. It may impact your life for a couple of weeks, but long term, you can do anything you would ever want to do with 1 kidney that you do with 2. So I would just encourage you about that. I just think it's, again, it's so important that we support each other and that we try to spread the word. We need to raise money for research. We need to raise money for awareness. People need to know that it's pretty easy to give an organ, particularly a kidney. If you haven't already considered it, consider it. If you're not an organ donor, get that changed on your driver's license. And if you know someone who has donated an organ, give them a hug, say thanks, and let's spread the word. If you're going through chronic kidney disease and you think transplant or dialysis is in your future, get educated and get a great team around you, both a support team of family and friends and doctors that care about you. But most importantly, you just got to stay positive. You got to look at every step of the way, every day of the journey as a day to enjoy and a day to learn something new. Take each challenge as it comes and overcome it. But if you stay positive and have a good outlook, I think that does as much as any medicine that you swallow or any doctor's visit you go to, because you'll have some hard days. Don't lose hope. There are people out there that are ready and willing to give you a kidney. And when you start having people get tested, that's one of the misinformation things that you might read is that, it's hard to find a donor. No, with modern medicine, the funnel has become so wide of people that are able to give a kidney. The availability of donors is big, so don't lose hope. You will find a donor, and you can have a much better life with a transplant.